What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel, Sports Life Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective, and I'm here for the news. And here today, we're going to be going over this case of Karmelo Anthony stabbing a young man at a track meet in Frisco, Texas. I am from Dallas, and Frisco is a suburb of Dallas. It is an affluent part of Dallas where, when I was coming up, rich people stayed there. People like Troy Aikman, Roger Staubach, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, the Jones family. People who had money and owned businesses. It was an affluent part of Dallas. And when I was coming up, it was known as a racist part of Dallas. Texas in general is a racist state. Yes, that don't mean black people should give up or not try. I'm just calling it as it is. Yes, it is a racist area. I'm not saying this case had anything to do with racism. But when you see this happen, you see how race plays such a major role in it immediately. It comes to the forefront of a young black student stabbed a young white student. Now, do I think Karmelo Anthony is innocent? I have no idea. We have not seen the video evidence yet. They are holding that very tight and very close to the vest. I think if it was more damning, this is my assumption, I could be wrong, but the video would have came out. If it looks like the two brothers were trying to jump him and hurt him, then it would look like he would have be able to use self-defense and stand your ground law in this particular case. But we'll see how this whole thing unfolds, but it has been explosive on the national media. Now, kids hurt each other and harm each other every day. There's all type of stuff that happen, but certain cases they push to the forefront and they tend to home in on. So I think that's another reason why the video hasn't been released yet. But let's take a look at this first clip.
Teenager accused of stabbing another student athlete at a track meet told officers as he was being taken into custody that he did it in self-defense.
Austin Metcalf was killed this week at that Frisco track meet. New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining us now live with the latest. Alex.
Hey guys, and in that 7-page arrest warrant affidavit, several witnesses, including Metcalf's twin brother, describe how that deadly encounter went down. The suspect then reportedly admitted to a Frisco police officer who detained him that he had stabbed Metcalf.
My son is gone, and
Wait a minute, I forgot this dude. Now, he used to work on ESPN, the dude in the corner who's doing the interview. I remember, I can't think of his name, but he used to work for ESPN. Why the hell it look like he about to cry? What is he doing crying? Oh, man, if you don't keep those crocodile tears, I'm not saying this is not a sad case, but, I mean, come on now. It's ridiculous. Like, there are kids who are tortured, molested, beaten. All type of heinous acts happen for him. He ain't shedded one tear for none of them. But this particular case, all of a sudden, he's on TV crying. This is how you know this case is being manipulated by the mass media for division. There's no doubt about that.
I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed.
The pain is still raw for the Metcalf.
That's his name, Will Kane. Will Kane with them fake-ass tears. You need to stop.
The 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed on Wednesday morning at a UIL District 11-5A track meet in Frisco.
I think it was extremely slow. I was in the ball. She just came to a real easy. Just had him playing football as well. Just made him just a great person overall.
Here's what happened according to witnesses and the police report. Metcalf got into an argument with the suspect, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, over a seating dispute in the bleachers. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move from under the team's tent.
He always was one to step up and be the...
Well, they left out that it was raining and that he was under the tent. Now, what the mother and the family is saying is that we have our personal stuff under the tent that we need to move. Now, if you walking up to the tent and nothing's been touched and it's raining, you would think you would say, hey, man, it's okay. When it stops raining, just move from under our tent. Karmelo Anthony was not a good student, but a great student. He was damn near a 4.0 student, captain of the track team, captain of the football team. And it's not like he was just a terrible human being. It's not like he was out of West Dallas or South Dallas or Oak Cliff acting a fool. And throwing up gang signs. It looked like he came from a decent family in a decent area, which is Frisco. Like I said, is an affluent area. It, I tend to lean towards that they were trying to attack him, but I don't know that for sure. That would be an assumption. Unlike other people on the internet who making all these false claims and assumptions who have not seen the video. And like I said, there's a reason why they haven't dropped the video.
The person that would do the right thing. And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
Anthony opened his bag and reached inside and said to Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf reportedly grabbed Anthony and told him to move.
He knew he wasn't supposed to.
When somebody says touch me and sees what happens, you taking a hell of a risk touching them. Now, you would hope that he wouldn't grab or touch him. But he is a football player. There is a lot of bravado. That has nothing to do with race. But being a football player, being strong, it's almost like you accepting a challenge. Now, when you accept a challenge, you got to accept everything that comes with it. And unfortunately for this young man, he lost his life. But if somebody, especially a Negro, say, "Don't touch me and see what happened, dog. I'm not playing." Sometimes people ain't in the mood for the BS. They don't want to be touched. They don't want you grabbing on them. They don't want you doing none of that. Does that warrant a stabbing to the chest? We have to see the video to see because if he just lightly put his hand on him, that doesn't warrant being stabbed. I can admit that. Being somebody from Texas, a racist state like Texas, it does not warrant stabbing somebody. But if you start grabbing like y'all was supposed to whoop his ass and he just wanted to get you two big football players off of him, I can see. So we shall see. And let me say this another thing before I forget. When you prosecuting a case like this, the charges that you levy against them are very important because it's very difficult to prove first. It's capital murder, if I'm not mistaken, first degree murder, second degree, third, and then manslaughter after that. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But I think if I'm not mistaken, they went with first degree murder. That's one of the hardest to prove outside of capital. So I would have maybe went with third degree or manslaughter to try to make sure if I'm the prosecution to try to get the charge. I'm telling you, if it even remotely looked like he was in danger or that they was about to jump, he gonna beat this case. Because you talking about the difference between life in prison and maybe 10 years.
Just a tragedy what happened.
That's when Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest once before running away. When Anthony was taken into custody by a Frisco police officer, Anthony reportedly confessed to the crime, saying, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to," adding that, "I was protecting myself," and then asked the police officer, "Is he going to be okay?" Metcalf died in his brother's arms.
I'm not at that point to forget, but eventually I will. But I pray for his family. I pray that they understand what we're going through as well.
This whole community has really wrapped their arms around us, and if I could say anything to the nation, I would say to make sure that you just hug your babies tight, and you don't know when the last time you get to do it.
But like I was saying, when you have these type of cases, people try to have empathy from very far away, but there's so many things so close that you should have empathy for that's right under your nose, that's right next to you. So we'll see how this case unfolds, but we're going to go on to the next clip. We're going to kind of stay on this case. I take that back. We're going to see how it unfolds. We're going to kind of stay on this case. I want to go over this character by the name of Charleston White. Now, Charleston White is a person who self-proclaimed killed a white man. Self-proclaimed told niggas they ain't worth a lottie-die. All they do is kill other black people. And he killed a white man. He's went on and on about that for year upon year, at least 2 or 3 years in a row. So we're going to go over this clip and see what Charleston White has to say about this particular case. Let's take a look at the clip.
No wonder God can't bless black people, because black people got a heart of retribution and vengeance and violence and anger. They want to get back at white people. No wonder Dr. King will forget.
Before we even get this shit started, I want to say, he said black people have a heart of retribution and violence and want to get back at white people. If black people want to get back at white people, we are doing the worst job in the history of mankind. All we've done is join their police force. All we've done is join their corporations. All we've done is join their militaries. All we've done is be side by side with these people since goddamn the American Revolution, the French and Indian War, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, war in Iraq, war in Afghanistan, and all other clandestine wars that we've been a part of with the white man. That's the most ridiculous thing, that we want vengeance on the white man and all we want to do is kill and hurt the white man. I've been around black people my whole life. I ain't never heard black people say, you know what, let's start killing white people. Not one time. Charleston White's so full of shit, his one eye should be brown. Just completely full of it. Let's hear it one more time. I just want to hear it one more time, y'all.
Black people got a heart of retribution and vengeance and violence and anger. They want to get back at white people. No wonder Dr. King will forget some things and we can't. Because Dr. King said, hey man, don't hit him back.
And let me say this about Dr. When Dr. King died, he was ready to march on Washington, get some reparations. He was sick of the bullshit. Let me say this. The civil rights movement did not help black people. It helped all other groups except the Negro and put the Negro at the back of the line. Once again, he's using lines and he's talking in preacher talk. And when you talk in preacher talk, that's how you know you're selling some bullshit.
And these people got way more. Now this group say, let's kill them. Let's kill them. But show kids.
Ain't no black people ever said, let's kill them. Black people have, through our history, have wanted to defend themselves. Yes, that's true. But if you black and you watching this, you ain't never been around black people who said, let's kill white people. In this case, it's not a young black man who said he wanted to kill white people. He was a 4.0 student and the captain of the football team and the track team. Stop it, living in an affluent area of Frisco, Texas. Get out of Dodge.
Our kids every day in the hood school getting bullied, but y'all have this much outrage for bullying. They have a no bullying month, but y'all don't have this much outrage. But now all of a sudden, let's kill the bully. Most of y'all are bullies.
No, most black people aren't bullies. That's not true at all. Once again, another lie. You can't be, as a black man, walking around bullying the world. You're going to jail. We all know that. That's a fact. Charleston White, once again, almost nothing in this video he's saying is true. And if it is something true, I'll tell you from my perspective that, yeah, maybe that might be true. But overall, he's starting out with a boatload of lies. You see the preacher move? You see the preacher move? That's how you know a motherfucker's full of shit. Let's watch the preacher move one more time. Watch the preacher move.
Now all of a sudden, let's kill the bully. Most of y'all are bullies.
No, they not. No, we not. Look at him.
Most of y'all, come on, cuz, OG, bullies. Come on, Crip, gut bullies.
What the fuck does a gang have to do? What the hell does the triads, the Irish mob, the Russian mafia, what does any gang in any race, what does that have to do with anything with this case? Once again, he's literally just saying anything. Come on, cuz, come on, blood. No, this kid was not no crippled blood. Stop it.
But now we want to kill the bully. But most of black children go to school every day and have to face a bully. Why you think they got to wear Michael Jordan tennis shoes? But now
see what I mean? Why they got to wear Michael Jordan tennis shoes? What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Wow. And this is why you have to be careful with the people you listen to, the information that you are intaking, and the people that you put on a pedestal and make like they're these great people and everything they say is gospel. This nigga ain't said nothing. I ain't saying Charleston White ain't never said nothing that was true, but this shit you could tell he is stretching this shit. He trying hard as hell. Michael Jordan tennis shoes. What is? Wow.
problem with bullies, huh? We didn't have we ever taught our kids to go kill the bully. We taught our kids how to stand up to the bully.
I would almost guarantee you Karmelo Anthony parents didn't teach him to kill a bully. He's a 4.0 student damn near. When you're a 4.0 student, your parents aren't teaching you to kill bullies. Once again, that's why I want to pick this shit apart. This is completely cowtown and ball licking white folks to make them feel better about this case. I mean, this is cooling to the upteenth degree. My goodness.
No matter if it was two of them, fight both of them.
But the shoes on the other foot, and two niggas was jumping on the white boy, and the white boy stabbed one of them. They would say, he had every right. Charleston White would do the same move and say, you damn right he should have killed those niggas. That's why, man, some of these people on the internet, this is why I don't listen to no one person all the time. You can take the meat off the bone, but you got to use discernment with these people.
You don't put your life in danger to kill unless you got killing in you. But if you listen to kill music, you got killing in you. There's no way them kids kill.
Well, by that standard, I would almost guarantee the two white boys listen to kill music. They listen to hip hop too. I would almost guarantee you they listen to some of the same music that he's assuming Karmelo Anthony listens to. I would almost guarantee you that. Almost all young white boys, young white kids listen to rap music too. So by that standard, that's more ridiculous takes from Charleston White, which is completely erroneous.
I know a nigga stabbed the girl 93 times, but before he got to 93, he dropped the knife.
He literally said anything. He's saying anything. I know somebody stabbed somebody 93 times, but before he got done, he dropped the knife. Man, let him keep going.
She begged when she pleaded. He dropped the knife. But because he was abused and he had anger and he had rage inside of him for what his daddy was doing to him, he finished up.
So his one stab is equal to somebody stabbing somebody 93 times, stopping, dropping the knife, picking the knife back up, and finishing stabbing over 100 plus times. Come on, Charleston.
He gonna come out of it. And good kids don't stab people to death, y'all. This is a kid with some trauma. Let's get the background story first.
I agree. Let's get the background. See, I agree. Let's get the background. Let's get the full story before you start making all these fucking outrageous ass claims. You chicken shit full of shit ass nigga. My goodness, boy, if you tried to escape from a plantation, this was the type of nigga that told on you. It's the same nigga who killed the white man and then told on his own the people who did it with him. Am I knocking him for it? Not really, but I just want you to know the type of character this guy has. He'll flip-flop at the drop of a hat.
Because he out there in Frisco. Ooh, black people, y'all wrong. No wonder God got you cursed. I'm starting to think that curse on us is real, as the Hebrews say. This group heart is hateful. No compassion. I remember telling my brother one time, God will never let you out of jail, nigga, if you ain't got no remorse for the people you killed. No remorse for the man's family. No remorse for the man's boys, father, mother, brother.
Remorse is a tricky thing. Honestly, like most people don't have remorse for stuff they see on the news. It's a fleeting remorse. It's like, oh, that's sad that happened. But you go on in the kitchen and eat some fried chicken, a shish kebab, or drink your juice, or turn on the Xbox. Nobody cares that much. They only care to argue on the internet, and they only care when it's a racial component that divides, where they can keep arguing circularly, where it's a circular argument until we see the evidence. But nobody's been more vicious and violent than white people over the course of history. 10 million people during World War I was killed. Almost, I say 50 to 80 million people died during World War II. Another few million died during Korea. Another million plus people during Vietnam. Another million in Iraq. Another couple 100,000 in Afghanistan. 300,000, almost 200 something million Native Americans slaughtered and killed. So don't tell me nothing about no goddamn violence and curse. White people numbers are dwindling. Their birth rates is going through the floor. Their drug abuse is up over the ceiling. Yes, Negroes might have a curse on them through God, but it's the white man's curse too. His woman don't even want him no more. The white woman is lusting after every other race of man except the white man at this point. If we curse, they cursed. Like we just under some ultimate curse and they just everything's going right for them. Yeah, they in power, but the power is fleeting right now. They holding on for dear life. They trying to get their numbers together.
Y'all got so much for Lil Ronnie and Lil Ronnie about death on himself. Look, come on now. Lil Ronnie brought death on himself. Got all of the things. But here it is, a white kid, two little boys having some hard issues. And one little boy kill another little boy. You mean to tell me you black people ain't got no compassion for neither side?
Charleston White, the biggest hypocrite in the history of in the history of the United States. He has said F dead people's kids so many times. This is just mind-boggling. The amount he just said last week, F the baby who got shot in Dallas. F the baby, a little black girl. F her. This nigga here, boy, oh my God. That's why over the course of the last year, I used to watch some of his videos and enjoy, but over the course of the last year and a half, I watched him less and less and less. Because, the entertainment issue, the entertainment aspect was funny and entertaining, but then I realized, oh, he's just completely full of shit. He'll flip-flop at the drop of a hat. And this man talking about empathy, and he was just talking about fuck Gilly's son, and fuck that dead baby, and fuck your mama, and fuck this nigga here. Get the fuck, who listen? At this point, it's hard to even listen to this nigga.
That's why you curse that folks. That's why your situation, God is looking at y'all hearts. That's why your finances can't be increased. That's why your children won't go to the NFL. God is looking at y'all hearts. Black people, y'all are ashamed. That's why your children are dying and being murdered the way they're being murdered. They've been your grandchildren. Man, you cursing.
Somebody was laughing in the back because it's just a whole skit. Just ridiculous. Charleston White is just so full of shit. And he's even, at this point, I'm telling you, I barely watch the nigga anymore. But I had seen this clip come across, and I said, let me see what Charleston White had to say about this. And I watched this shit, I said, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? This nigga just, nothing is sensical. He's just making, usually Charleston White actually, you might disagree, but some of the shit actually makes sense. I dare to say nothing he said in there made any sense whatsoever. It was all over the place and completely full of shit. And he straight do I think he know that whole thing was full of shit? Of course. He know it was. Mother talking about Michael Jordan tennis shoes, Martin Luther King, Curse of the Hebrews. Let's stop it. Let's take a look at this next clip. Protect White Americans organizer calls Austin Metcalf's murder. Let me see what this say. Austin Metcalf's father weak. You don't know his father. I don't know his father. I can't say whether he's weak or not weak. But when you see white people like this, you always wonder where they come from. Who are they? Are they individuals that are orchestrated to be there? Let's take a look at this clip. And look at this. He has Martin Luther King on the bus with Donald Trump and JFK. Completely full of shit. Take a look.
Straight line here. Jeff, first of all, my entire heart rests in your hands. I would be in my position, not even somebody even knew your son, but somebody that shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people.
No, white people are not living in fear around black people. That's bullshit. White people are twice as safe as we are around our own people. Black people are not hunting white people down like it's some kind of goddamn werewolf movie. And you wonder, where does this guy come from? Who orchestrated him to be here? Because something ain't adding up with this guy. He just started the conversation. And by the way, he's talking to the young man, Austin Metcalf's father.
Around me all the time. And I don't understand as I was a father you could sit idly by and not condemn the culture that killed your son. There is an epidemic problem in this country, and your voice could be one of the loudest voices in this country, but you've chosen to recoil out of fear and continue the suppression. Why will you not stand with me and with the rest of the people? We're not calling for racial divide. We're not calling for hatred. We're saying 350,000 attacks on white people by black people a year in this country.
Let me say this: He said 350,000 attacks on white people by black people. Is that number true? I have no clue if that number is true or not true. But let's take it at face value that it is true. How many of those cases are white people provoking niggas to slap the shit out of them? We all seen the videos where the white boy is drunk, and a lot of times it's when they get that alcohol in them, where the white boy comes up to the black person and say some foul shit, and he like, white boy, you better move around before I slap the hell out of you. And then the shit escalates and goes back and forth, and then the nigga is forced to knock the shit out of the white boy. Is that an attack, or is that somebody being antagonistic and provoking somebody to slap the shit out of you? Because that's totally different. But knowing this white boy, he's pulled some of these numbers out of thin air and out the back of his ass.
Is wrong. Why can't you stand that and say with that? Maybe you can. Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today. Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the problem, my friend. You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any.
That's called white guilt.
You don't blame my son.
He just told that's called white guilt, because the father don't really want nothing to do with this, because the father know open white supremacy is not conducive to none of this shit. Now, he did lose a child, so I don't want to just say it's about race. When your child dies, you want justice, but you also have to see, was the young man provoked? But this guy is obviously a complete race baiter and comes from some deep, dark organization, probably out of the government, the feds, the CIA. I don't know. But whoever this guy is, he most definitely is orchestrated to be here, for sure.
Let me finish. I give you your time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir. You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
History. This is the shit. We're white people.
You know, like I said before, that's that type of stuff that you see when white people go above and beyond with these cases. That's how you know that some of this stuff is orchestrated by the media to keep this story in the headlines for racial division right now. So whatever it is, I mean, obviously the race is already divided. Let me make that perfectly clear. The race, we're already a divided nation. You already have Republican, Democrat, blood, crip. You have a skinny, fat. You have tall, short. Everything is about dividing in the United States at this particular juncture in time. But when you see guys like this, when you say black people are attacking white people, no, they not. You ain't never went out and just seen a nigga just jumping on white folks. We ain't doing that. That's ridiculous. And Charleston White said the same thing. These two people are probably behind the scenes. These two people are probably put out by the same organization that we probably don't know the name of and who they are. But when you hear those type of talking points, and they both saying and they both spewing that type of shit, that lets you know that this shit is it's deeper than Nino Brown. Yeah. It's a little bit deeper than what you guys think, for sure. Let's take a look at this last clip on this particular topic. Misinformation spread after Frisco stabbing.
I want to clarify something right off the start, because I've already heard some rumors and gossip. This was not a race thing. This is not a political thing.
That's the father of Frisco stabbing victim Austin Metcalf. He pleaded on national television for his family's tragedy, the loss of their son, not to be turned into a race or a political issue. The sad reality is that appears to be exactly what has happened. Amid a surge of misinformation and false claims, the story has taken on a life of its own online. Tonight, our I-Team reporter Brian New with who is behind some of these social media posts, including one political candidate who is calling for a protest this weekend in Frisco.
And that was the guy we just watched at his protest that we just seen a while ago, who did that actual protest.
From the very beginning, people far...
And the protest was a complete failure. That's why he had to get the father on the phone. It was only maybe 40 people showed up. And half of those people were people who was just trying to cover it with a cell phone or a news station. But it was a complete failure, by the way, too.
From Texas have amplified this story on social media, often injecting misinformation to push false narratives. This has come from individuals claiming to support Austin Metcalf, as well as those claiming to support Karmelo Anthony, despite having no connection to the families or the community. This week, a flyer has been circulating online to promote a protest. The flyer uses a picture of Metcalf with the banner reading, "Protect White Americans." If you look at the initial flyer, it misspelled Frisco. And also,
and the only thing is him to be put back in prison until trial. No, you have a right to a bail hearing. This was something where obviously they've seen the video. We haven't seen the video. They've seen the video. When they seen the video, they lowered the bail. So that kind of gives you a clue to where this thing is probably going. But I haven't seen it, and I always leave room in my videos, and I always say that I could be wrong. But they seen the video for sure, and they have lowered the bail from $1 million to $200,000. And then Karmelo Anthony obviously was able to get out of jail and go home on house arrest.
Got the name of a local high school wrong and incorrectly claimed this is where the stabbing took place. It did not. The latest version of the flyer now shows a new location for the protest. This flyer has now been shared by dozens of high-profile social media accounts. This one post received 5.3 million views. The organizer of the protest, according to the flyer, is this man, Jake Lang. Lang was charged with attacking police at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th.
Oh, hell. I see y'all, listen to me. I'll be so ahead of this shit. I told you this man was a fucking orchestrated puppet who was put in here to create more divisiveness and more chaos. He was part of the January 6th. I did a video on the January 6th, and I proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. that the whole thing was staged, orchestrated, and allowed to happen. I proved behind a shadow. Listen to me. When I say 100%, I'm not even saying alleged. 100% they let that happen. And because there were federal agents in the crowd, and this guy is one of them. I'm not saying working for the feds, but he working for some kind of he's working for something within the government. There's no doubt about that shit. Yeah, this guy here, he was January 6th, and now he got his nose in this. Come on now.
He was pardoned earlier this year by President Trump.
Of course he was.
Lang is now running for U.S. Senate in Florida. The Frisco Police Department said it is aware of the scheduled protest and put out this statement yesterday, saying officers will be on hand to ensure the safety of the public while allowing the protesters to exercise their First Amendment rights in a peaceful manner. With the I-Team, Brian New, CBS News, Texas.
Yeah, that man, whoever this guy is, right? He's completely full of it. Yeah, you can't buy none of the shit he's saying. But, we'll see how that case unfolds. I'll be covering that as time goes on. We'll get back to that at a later date. Until the video, like I said, till the video comes out, we shall see. But let's take a look at this. China threat could escalate Trump trade war. Now, I talked about Trump coming into office this time. And like I said before, like if you ain't never watched my videos, you don't know I'm apolitical. That means I don't support either side. I only support what I think can help me. Like I'm not into the red or the blue, the donkey or the elephant. I don't care. I can care less about that shit as a black man. I felt like Trump going into this election, going into this presidency, will be a revenge tour. And so far, it has been. Now, the tariffs, I do understand why they will fight the tariffs tooth and nail why Donald Trump want to do that, because a lot of the trades that we have set up with other countries is very, very beneficial for them, but it hurts us. They're able to send their shit tax-free, and we're being taxed to the umpteenth degree. So I'm not really mad at it. You just hope that they can get a deal done sooner rather than later. China, listen to me, if we're sick and hurting, then China would damn near be on their deathbed because their country is not set up like this country. As bad as these trade wars are, as bad as the tariffs have been financially on us, it's 5 times worse on China. There's no doubt about that. Because a lot of their shit is built on lies, deception, false numbers, and anytime you build those shit on a deck of cards or a house of cards, it's easy for them bitches to tumble. That's why China's making all these type of threats now, because they are suffering tremendously because they able to send shit over from Shein, Temu. They make all the luxury bags. They make all this shit, but now they're suffering. All that shit is just sitting up and collecting dust now, and they're not making any money. So let's take a look at this clip.
I'm Montreal Najjar in Washington, where the Trump administration's plans to strike deals with trading partners may have just gotten more complicated. China now warning it will retaliate against countries making trade agreements with the United States that hurt Chinese interests.
That's a weak move by China. It lets you know how hurt the Chinese really are. What the Chinese are doing right now is being extremely stubborn. In all honesty, the Chinese need to be coming to the table at all costs, trying to make this thing work, trying to get an agreement, and trying to make it where they can continue making money. Because the United States, as much as we hurting, most people, they ain't hungry. Shit is high, but you ain't starving. Shit is high, but you still got a job. Shit is high, but you're still buying gas. You're still doing this. You're still going out on the town. You're still doing mostly all the stuff you doing normally. They're saying they're threatening other countries. I would imagine with cyber war, because it's most definitely not a physical war. You're not attacking India. You're not attacking none of these other countries. It would have to be cyber. So they're making cyber threats. That's an opinion. That's just my personal opinion, but that's all they basically got. So they're going to attack these people cyberly. That's my personal opinion.
Delhi Monday, Vice President J.D. Vance meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. With the United States being India's top trading partner, President Trump's sweeping tariffs top of mind for the two leaders. On a temporary pause is a 27% import tax on goods from India.
We are working in order that by fall this year, we should at least have the first phase of the agreement signed.
Like India, Kazakhstan under Trump's threat of 27% tariffs and will send a delegation to Washington soon for trade talks.
We're going to ultimately have to deal with any.
Because even if you've had the trades in your favor for all this time, what you can have happen is you don't trade with the United States at all, because we're the biggest consumers. You have to figure something out so you can keep some money going. You just got to make some adjustments. You got to make some cuts in other places. But what you can't do is like the Chinese and just say, be stubborn and say, no, I'm not, no. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to attack any country that you make a deal with. That's not going to work. Because people trying to get to this money, baby.
If we don't, we're going to make it anyway.
This week, top Trump cabinet officials are set to meet with delegations from South Korea, which is trying to avoid 25% tariffs, and Thailand, up against 36% tariffs from the president, who posted this on social media over the weekend.
And when you see 25, you know what that means? We'll do 20, maybe even 18, depending on how we talking. When you see 35, we'll do 30, maybe even 28. Let's negotiate. That's what I do like about Donald Trump. But there's some shit I don't like about what he got going too.
The rule of negotiating and success, he who has the gold makes the rules. Thank you. It's not necessarily these trading partners coming to the table for talks the president has to worry about. It's the one that isn't. China. In a statement Monday morning, China's Ministry of Commerce says China firmly opposes any party reaching a deal at the expense of China's interests. If this happens, China will never accept it and will resolutely take countermeasures in a reciprocal manner.
That means they're going to sabotage at every turn that they can without using actual warfare. Cyber war, I mean, when I say warfare, I mean like actual physical war, but cyber war, any kind of chicanery that they can do because the United States is China's biggest trading partner. We're their biggest consumers. All our shoes, clothes, almost everything that you look around in your house is made somehow in China. Not all, but I would say 70% of that shit is made in China. That's a lot. And we are huge consumers. China is in a boatload of trouble. There is so much trouble, they threaten other countries. They say they will not accept you doing a deal with the United States. It's like a scorned lover. If I can't have her, nobody can.
US and China are in a standoff with triple-digit tariffs imposed on each other's products, causing economic pain here at home. Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee says it's even hurting an industry meant to benefit from tariffs.
You've seen a series of domestic steel producers actually start some layoffs because the demand is not there, because the tariffs are hurting their customers more than they're helping their cost side.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell warns the president's tariffs are likely to hurt the job market and increase inflation. But President Trump continues to publicly pressure Powell and the rest of the Fed to cut interest rates. The attempt to exert political influence on the independent central bank is believed to have contributed to hefty stock market losses on Monday. In Washington, I'm Atrell Nashar.
Let me say this. I talked about China not going to war, but I forgot there is one country that China might attack, and that's Taiwan. And I've done at least 12, I don't say 12, maybe 6 videos on China eventual attack of Taiwan. And this might be the true precursor to that. Because United States not doing trade with China will bring China to its knees. There's no doubt about that. Let's take a look at this next clip. There's a man who's from El Salvador was illegally sent back to El Salvador. Do I agree with that? Absolutely not. Because what's scary about anybody being illegally sent out of the country is it's a precursor to sending others out of the country. You might want to send some Asians out of the country. You might want to send some Arabs out of the country. You might want to send some Negroes all of a sudden. Where does the line stop? Where's the line drawn at? They said it was on accident. I don't think it was on accident. Because they're not even trying to get them back. The Supreme Court told them they need to bring this man back. They said no. El Salvadorian president said no. They got the worst prison in the world. Not the worst, but I would say the worst prison in the world in El Salvador. They got people lined up in there and they ain't playing with them El Salvadorian gangs. So, do I agree with this? No. Send back people who's supposed to be sent back. Period, point blank. Criminals, yes. Illegals, yes. But if the man was not supposed to be sent back, then get him back over here. Because what I'm thinking is, this ain't nothing but a test run. Let's take a look at the clip.
Here tonight, Arizona Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari traveled to El Salvador last night to demand the return of a man who was wrongly deported there.
News journalist Graham Resnick got an update from Ansari today, and so far the Congresswoman and her 3 Democratic colleagues are no closer to bringing Kilmar Abrego Garcia back home. Is that right, Graham?
That's right, Rachel. Democratic Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari wanted to pressure the Trump administration to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the U.S., but she got no help from the administration or its Salvadoran allies. Yasmin Ansari wanted to see Kilmar Abrego Garcia in part for his own safety.
There can be retribution. There can be a backlash for all of the attention on Mr. Garcia.
The Phoenix Congresswoman told 12 News in an interview from San Salvador that the El Salvadoran government denied that request.
So now we are escalating the request and writing a letter to Secretary Rubio directly to ask for daily proof of life, access to counsel, as well as the ultimate release of Mr. Garcia.
That doesn't appear likely to happen either.
We're here because we believe that the rule of law should be followed by everyone, including the President of the United States.
The Trump administration concedes Garcia was mistakenly deported, but has refused to comply with a U.S. Supreme Court order to facilitate the Maryland man's return to the U.S.
This is not something any of us are taking lightly because it is a fundamental issue, and if we don't resolve this, this is a constitutional crisis.
Do I agree there's a constitutional crisis if you don't get this resolved? Absolutely. Like I said, it just opens up Pandora boxes so many different things. Like, no. It just seems like it's a test run to see what they can and can't get away with.
Donald Trump has dismissed the Democrats' El Salvador trips which started last week with Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen visiting with Garcia.
Look, he's a fake. I know them all. They're all fake. And they have no interest in that prisoner.
The White House branded the four Democrats' visit as a, quote, apology tour for a deport.
I would imagine they do care because you can, like I said, where does it stop at? All of a sudden, you're sending out political opponents and people who disagree with you. You never know where it stops at, man.
And we're not going to be the last ones to come here. There are other members of Congress who are planning to come down to El Salvador.
Congresswoman Ansari and her colleagues say they did not spend taxpayer dollars on their trip.
Well, that's irrelevant. Let's take a look at this last clip. Oh no, let me take a this. The Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth faces new allegations of sharing. I think it was like top secret information on. I think they was doing some airstrikes on the Houthis, if I'm not mistaken, in Yemen. Let's take a look at this clip.
With Rebecca, I'm David. The news continues now with a story about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He's at the center of another scandal after a new report from the New York Times found that he shared...
This man got more damn scandals than the TV show scandal. Jesus Christ. So you turn around, something's going on with this guy.
...military plans in a second signal group chat.
The White House is defending him and calling the new reporting false, but some are saying Hegseth should lose his job. 27 News Washington correspondent Hannah Brandt has the latest.
President Donald Trump says he's standing behind his Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in the wake of a new group chat scandal.
Pretty confident.
Over the weekend, the New York Times reported Secretary Hegseth shared sensitive military plans in another signal group chat that included his wife and his brother. This comes after a reporter with The Atlantic revealed he was...
How sloppy can you be to accidentally text me at its war plan? It's a Trump administrator accidentally text me its war plan. That is sloppy. Wow.
accidentally added to a group chat where Secretary Hegseth shared high-level details about a U.S. airstrike on Houthi militants.
When asked about this latest report, Secretary Hegseth blamed the media.
This is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled...
You could tell he went full politician. This is what the media does. Even the little white kid in the corner looking like, damn, he lying. Even little Chubbs, the little white boy Chubbs over here in the corner, even he looks like he's lying. Let's take a look again. Take one more look at it. Watch the little white boy in the corner like, damn, he lying.
Secretary Hegseth blamed the media.
This is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people.
Look how you look.
And ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me.
But some say...
Do I believe you? Absolutely not. Could be wrong, but I would bet my bottom dollar this motherfucker's lying. Sounded like a lie. He stood like it was a lie. His body language, everything about that said he was lying. This is what the media does. He never said I didn't send a message. He said this is what... Wow.
Hegseth should be out of a job.
Frankly, I think he should resign or get fired.
Senator Mark Warner is the ranking Democrat on the Intelligence Committee and tells me he was very alarmed by the new report.
I was outraged. I thought, how many times do we have to see this same movie of careless, sloppy handling of critical information before somebody's held accountable?
Warner says this information could have ended up in the wrong hands and endangered American service members. And as is, he argues it hurts morale among our armed forces and damages allies' trust in the U.S.
That makes us weaker as a nation.
The Defense Department's acting inspector general is investigating the initial signal chat, and Senator Warner is calling on his Republican colleagues to demand accountability from the Trump administration.
None of this is partisan. This is basic national security and cyber 101.
Yes.
This shouldn't be allowed to stand.
I
In
agree.
Washington, I'm Hannah Brandt.
Totally sloppy. This totally sloppy. Last clip of the day, you guys. The Pope has passed away. Now, I've done several videos over the years talking about the Roman Catholic Church, keyword Roman. These people don't believe in the Bible whatsoever. They do not believe in Christ. They don't believe in none of that. This is why they try so hard to cover up all of allegations of sleeping with young boys. And it was nothing new under the sun with that because they've been doing that for a very, very long time. over 1,000 years. And, just a little small brief history lesson if you don't know about the Roman Catholic Church. How the Romans and Christianity merged was Emperor Constantine. And he was a Roman pagan who realized that the Christianity religion had become so strong that it was no use fighting it anymore. So he merged the two. And behind the scenes, they really never stopped worshiping Baal, the horn god, the goat god, the serpent god, none of that shit. They never stopped none of it. And they still had an affinity for young boys. So Pope Francis has died, and he has passed on, and he also was part of the people who helped cover up a lot of the pedophilia. Let's take a look at the clip.
Cardinal Cupich speaks often of his friendship with Pope Francis, and it was the late Pope who gave Cardinal Cupich his title nearly 10 years ago. Now, this afternoon, after describing the shock from that middle-of-the-night phone call from the Vatican, Cardinal Cupich simply says he's filled with gratitude. After marking their holiest holiday, the more than 2 million Catholics of the Archdiocese of Chicago.
And if you notice, in the Bible says don't worship wood nor stone. Nobody has more wood and stone monuments and idols than the Roman Catholic Church. It is against the Bible to do any of that, yet they do all of it in the open. And this is how you know the average person does not read the Bible.
Chicago now join the world in mourning the loss of their leader for more than a decade, Pope Francis.
I come away with a great sense of gratitude that I got to be a part of it.
In a recorded message this afternoon, Chicago's Cardinal Blaise Cupich memorialized the late Pope.
He energized the church to move forward. He gave us a more expansive view of what we could be.
Though he never visited.
And where was you at when they was touching all them boys, or was you part of it?
The pontiff's tenure reached into Chicago from the beginning, elevating Blaise Cupich first to Archbishop of Chicago, and then personally appointing Cupich to the collegiate.
And once again, as you can look at this clip, they have on the hat that represents the fish god Dogon. So if you ever heard of the fish god Dogon, that's the hat that they wear. They do a lot of things in the Roman Catholic Church that are 100% pagan. And if you look up the fish god Dogon, you'll know that goes back to almost ancient Mesopotamia. And there's been several different groups and religions, including the Romans, who worship Dogon, the fish god, who wore the same exact hat.
Cardinals in 2016.
We didn't know each other. And the first time I met him was, I would say, 10 months later in June of 2015.
Speaking to ABC7's Tanya Babich, Cardinal Cupich talked about the genuine friendship that formed between the two men.
We hit it off right away. He knew what I was about, and the things that I have done.
It was about them boys. That's what he was about. Allegedly. 100%.
And so by the information that he received, he felt as though I could do the job here in Chicago and would do it in such a way that would represent how he wanted to lead the church.
The son of immigrants, Pope Francis, Cupich said, focused on the plight of the poor, migrants, and war refugees. Bishop Hicks of Joliet echoed that sentiment.
His gifts, which are many, included living a life of humble service, loving everyone, very approachable, compassionate.
They got a lot of nerve showing them with them kids. They got a lot of nerve showing them with them kids. They got a lot of nerve showing them holding the little boy's hand. They got a lot of nerve. Unbelievable.
Less fortunate.
He realizes that our lives are enhanced when we engage people.
Now at 76 years old, Cardinal Cupich will be one of the 135 eligible cardinals to choose a successor to a pope known for expanding the church's reach at a time when Catholicism was shrinking around the world.
Yeah, sleep on little boys to do that, especially when you get busted.
For a special mass memorializing Pope Francis here at Holy Name Cathedral on Wednesday morning. So far, the Archdiocese of Chicago has not said when the Cardinal will travel to the Vatican.
But yeah, they wearing the fish god Dogon caps and all this goddamn wood and stone worship and idolizing, and you got pictures of Mary and baby Jesus. That is blasphemy. in the Bible. You're not supposed to be worshiping no baby Jesus. All of that shit is blasphemy. And let me be honest, it really not even representing baby Jesus. Let me be honest with you. Yeah, a lot of that shit is just completely pagan across the board. So, but I just wanted to go over those clips, you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been Sports, Life, and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective. I'm here for the news. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I just took your ass on a Doggone Fish God ride. Peace.